Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast. I am your host, Joanne Crone, joined here by the delightful Brie Tucker.
Why, hello, everybody. How are you?
We have such a great episode for you today. But before we get into it, Brie, we have to shout out our No Guilt Mom Weekly readers. We have a weekly newsletter here at No Guilt Mom, and every week it goes out to you on Monday morning, where it's a wealth of information to help you release that guilt and pursue the life you want while staying very connected to your kids. And today we want to shout out Lindsay from Austin, Texas. Danielle from Sacramento, California. And Misty from New Orleans. Thank you. New button. Thank you so much for subscribing to our No Guilt Mom Weekly. It is a free newsletter. It is so fun. And with that, if you right now are looking for a passion, or maybe you're looking for a way to bring in some extra money and you've always been a little bit intrigued by YouTube, we have a phenomenal guest for you. She is a working mom who also has a very successful YouTube channel. I mean, this interview was delightful, wasn't it, Brie?
Oh my gosh, it was so much fun. And before we started, I was like ecstatic about the fact that we had some similarities going on. So
yes,
the whole Midwestern thing, Chiefs fans, her kids are the same age as yours. I'm like, Jen, you were in the wrong part of the country. You need to live in Gilbert with us.
Yes. So Jen Chapin is a working mom, a YouTuber, and the author of the Essential Pantry cookbook. She sees how women and moms often put their own ambitions on the back burner to take care of others, and she makes it her mission to show other moms that you can have it all. And with that, let's get on with our interview with the lovely Jen Chapin. Hey, Jen, welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast. We are so happy to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
It's funny because, I have to mention this because it's just on the top. I spurred out things. Brie, you mentioned that you didn't have any coffee yet today.
I was very excited to meet you, Jen. And your husband is from Kansas City and they're Chiefs fans. I'm like, this is my best friend to be. I'm just very excited about that stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome.
As I sip my coffee.
As you sip your coffee, it's really funny. I was trying to get a word in and I'm like, the Kansas City brings out everything. If you had thrown in Maryland, Jen, it would have been a done deal. I could have just left out.
Right? Yeah, because I was born in Baltimore and then moved to Kansas City. Joanne, those are my key things, man. Talk about those. And if you happen to have a little black dog named Max, I mean, that's it. We're done. We're done.
That's funny.
We're all about excitedness and hyperness, and I love it, Brie. I'm not knocking you down in any way. I'm just it's the days where we're on, and Jen, you probably have these days too. You're on some days, and you're just I'm just trying to get through this day. Please just get it. I'm just trying. I'm trying. It's a day. But I am so enthralled with what you're doing on YouTube. I've been watching your videos on YouTube, and you tackle what could be a boring subject. I mean, meal planning with you're so funny and you're so witty, and you're just you make it really, really engaging and fun to watch. And so my question is how did you first get into creating the videos that you do?
Yeah, so I actually kind of saw a content gap on YouTube. My kids are 15 and 11, and I've been a working mom their whole lives. And so when I first started watching YouTube, there weren't really a lot of moms like me doing content. It was mostly moms who stayed home with their kids. And while I still watched lots of different channels, it wasn't always relatable to me. And so I thought, well, I like to cook and I can meal prep and meal plan, and I already do all those things. And so I really just kind of started out sharing what I was doing in my kitchen. Back then, my kids were smaller. And so I did like the cute little lunch boxes and just started posting my grocery hauls. And there is a market for that on YouTube. And I'm really happy to represent working moms in that space. There's not very many of us. There's not very many of us out there on YouTube doing that kind of content. And so it's been really fun to do that in addition to my full-time job. Obviously, it's very busy, but it's a good way to make extra income. And it's been a super fun journey. I've been on YouTube for, I think it's been like 6 years. Yeah, it'll be 6 years this year that I've been doing this type of content. So
that's awesome. Because I imagine like there's not many working moms on YouTube just because of the amount of time involved in creating those videos. Because I mean, like I watched your videos. I'm like, that is some editing time that she has put in right there. Like there's a lot going on. So I imagine like it's hard balancing like video creation with your full-time job. And you're a registered nurse, correct?
Yes. Yep. That's my background is in nursing. Yep.
Yeah. Are you still nursing right now?
I don't take care of patients anymore. I've been out of direct patient care for a long time. I've been a nurse for almost 20 years. So I work more in healthcare consulting now. So we travel a lot. We do consultations at, different hospitals across the country, get kind of called in to do consultation and education. So I'm using kind of my skills and my background, working in the hospital, just kind of in a different way. That's one thing that I really like about nursing and in healthcare in general is there's just so many different things that you can do with your experience and your education.
Yeah, I love that. Something like I know that a lot of our No Guilt moms experience is like they want to do like a career, like they want to do something extra. They want to pursue their passions. You said that you saw this gap in YouTube and you're like, oh, I like this. Let's do more with that. But it's a struggle with time and with energy. So like, how did you, when you were first starting out, really manage that, having the energy to do the videos after like a full day of work and taking care of kids?
I've always had some type of like side gig or I hate the term side hustle, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like I've never just had one job. I've always kind of had something on the side that I like to do. And a lot of people have opinions over monetizing your hobby and how you shouldn't monetize your hobby because then it turns into work. But for me, if I enjoy something and I can make some money off of doing it, I don't really see anything wrong with that. I think you do have to, kind of walk that line so it still stays fun and not work.
Yeah.
At this point, it really kind of has turned into a second job, but I still really enjoy it. And I think in the beginning, especially on social media, and anyone that's grown an audience on social media knows this, is that you really have to work for free for a long time before you start seeing any return from it. So you have to really like what you're doing. You can't go into it wanting to do something that's going to make money that you hate or that you don't enjoy, because that passion is kind of what's going to carry you through and motivate you. And I think especially on YouTube, overall, the community is very positive. There's lots of, other women in my comments, saying thank you for the recipes and thanks for the inspiration. Thanks for being relatable. And so I think, before you kind of start making money, that positive feedback really helps. I think it's also worth noting that I am married. So I do have a partner. I think if I did not, this type of stuff wouldn't necessarily have been possible when my kids were younger. Now that they're like teens and preteens, it's a little bit different. I don't, they're not so hands-on. But yeah, it was something that was really, everyone has to start somewhere. And I think, anything you do, if you look back at your first year that you were out of college, or your first, 20 videos on YouTube, you look back and you're like, oh my gosh, that's so embarrassing. But because you're kind of learning in front of everyone, but you have to start somewhere. And, it was something that I was passionate about and that I really enjoyed.
I think that's such a good
you on
tip
that. Yeah, I heard Joanne talk about that because like, how long have you been doing the videos on the No Guilt Mom YouTube channel, Joanne? I've only been with you for a little while.
On the YouTube channel, it was like, that's kind of a dying thing that's not being concentrated on.
Okay, but I mean, like, so like, there's pictures of your youngest as a baby who just turned
is.
11.
There is,
right?
And he just turned 11. Yeah, because like I
Right.
started in like mommy blogger world and like sponsored content, and so like you see like these old sponsored content posts where like they give you a free thermometer, and you're like, oh my gosh,
She's still one of our most popular videos, I'm gonna say. I think it still pops up quite a bit because I'm in the YouTube channel these days. But
I still have and use that thermometer, by the way.
Okay,
But,
there you go.
Like you don't get any other pay for it, and you go on it because it's fun and you like it, and it becomes like just a joy. So I love that you say that, Jen, because I think that when we're encouraging moms to like go out and like really pursue their passion, it has to be fun, because you don't see any other sort of validation when you first start out. It's really just for you. It's just for you to experiment. It's just for you to like get to put like creative work out there. And like you said, like there's a lot of supportive people on your YouTube channel giving you comments. I wish I had that on No Guilt Mom for some of them, because there seems to be a lot of men who are just like,
you look
I don't
pretty.
know what the algorithm's doing.
Yeah.
Are you pretty? Can you give me a shout out? No, I can't.
I do think that it's like, I would love to explore that further, kind of the dynamic and some of the things that women face on social media.
Yeah.
I get called out a lot in my comments on YouTube for doing sponsored content, and it's like, do you have the same energy for men that are out here trying to make money? I mean, maybe people do. I don't necessarily see it.
I don't see that.
But I think in general, men are kind of seen as providers. And so when they're out there trying to get their sponsored bag and whatever, there's not a whole lot of negativity around it. But for some reason, as women, we're expected to kind of do this free labor for our families and for everybody else. And so that's something that I've noted also on social media.
Yeah.
There is like this free labor expectation. Like even if you're trying to like get people on your email list so you can talk with them some more, they will get so offended if you like try to like offer them anything else that they pay for. And they're like, "Oh, you're so sneaky. I see you." I'm like, "What do you mean? Like, this is a business. Are you kidding me? Like, what's going on here?"
Well, okay, and I have to defend anybody who is making back any money on their unicorn time, something that they truly enjoy and are passionate about. Because, okay, let's just like peel this onion back and be like, all right, so it started out as like a hobby, something that you enjoy. In order to keep doing a hobby, it costs money, people. It costs money. Like cooking, even, like, right? Supplies, new equipment, all of that. Where is there the bad side to making the money to continue to be able to enjoy doing that hobby?
Well, and I think at the end of the day, like, especially on YouTube, you're providing free content and free value for people, right? And so they're consuming the content for free. And so obviously YouTube pays you via Google AdSense for the amount of ads that they put in your videos and things like that. But that alone is not enough to compensate you for your time, especially if you're producing multiple videos a week. If I did not take sponsored content, I would make less than minimum wage, with the amount. And I'm not okay with anyone making less than minimum wage, right? And so I think it's something that I think is improving over time. I think this kind of space of, making money online I personally wouldn't say that it's new, but I think to a lot of people, it's fairly new. It's a fairly new space, but really type of content that you consume online, whether it's a podcast. I mean, think about Facebook, for example, right? Tons of people on Facebook all the time. How is Facebook free? I mean, Facebook isn't a charitable organization. They have ads on their platform, right? And so anything online or on TV that you consume for free has to be the work has to be subsidized somehow. And I'm really proud of the fact that I've gotten to work with so many cool brands over the years. Like when I first my channel, if you would have told me, oh, hey, you're going to get to work with Walmart, like Walmart's going to sponsor your video, Clorox bleach is going to sponsor a video, Barilla pasta, like all of these household names. Like, I think that's so cool.
Be a little starstruck.
Yeah. It is so cool. It is so cool.
Yeah.
I want to really like dig into this more, Jen, and like the money actually behind YouTube. So if you right now listening, you've always been curious about like the behind the scenes and like you've maybe thought of dabbling in YouTube, you're going to want to stick around. And we're going to get back to it right after this. So Jen, I want to talk about the money really behind YouTube, because as you mentioned before, there are a lot of misconceptions about how creators get paid there. I know, talking with, for instance, my father-in-law, he's like, he thinks, oh, all you have to do is slap a video on YouTube and you're going to get a lot of money. And I'm like, that's not how it works.
If only it were that easy.
If only it were that easy. And then just my husband was talking to me yesterday, and he was watching a documentary, not a documentary, it was an interview with Mr. Beast. And in the interview with Mr. Beast, he said that their ad revenue on YouTube is something like $130 million, which is the budget for all of their content for the next year. And he makes his profit through selling Feastables, the chocolate bar. And so it's basically like Mr. Beast is creating YouTube videos to then sell chocolate to kids. Is basically, but he's not even he's not even profitable if YouTube were just his only source of revenue. So let's peel back the layers here, Jen. What does it look like for a creator like yourself making money through YouTube?
Yeah. So first I'll say the Mr. Beastification of YouTube is something that people in my sort of niche have fought against for a long time.
Ooh, tell me more about that.
Well, it's sort of like if you have a little mom and pop coffee shop downtown, trying to compare their business model to Jeff Bezos' business model. It's two totally different things. And I'm not saying, obviously, Mr. Beast is wildly successful and he makes a lot of money. But as you said, he dumps most of his profit back into his videos, and clearly it's working for him. I don't really aspire to be Mr. Beast. Sometimes I find that style of videos very annoying. And I think a lot of the women that watch me would say so too. It's like, I put 7 billion Orbeez in a pool, and that's
I can't stand it.
What are you doing? Who's gonna clean that up? That is
I know,
exactly
right?
what I'm thinking whenever I see something like that.
100. I'd be pausing every 5 seconds and be like, that's just not realistic. Do you know, that's seriously, and the skin allergies that would happen, the irritation. That's a mom watching the video.
Yeah. And so the way that I operate my channel, and I think how a lot of women in my niche, and even a lot of the cooking channels too, it turns out to be a very high profit margin, because you don't have inventory. So essentially you're only purchasing the items that you need for your videos, which obviously is, if you're doing a cooking video, you might need to buy a cookbook, you might need to buy some kitchen equipment, you might need to buy some food to make the video, type of thing. But other than that, the way that creators make money on YouTube is primarily through YouTube AdSense. And so, no, you can't just put a video on YouTube and start making money. You actually have to build a channel. So you need to have 1,000 subscribers on your channel and so many watch hours before they'll start paying you. And even then, it's highly variable in terms of how much money you can make from your videos. So myself, I have a very, I would say, tame, family-friendly channel. It's not highly controversial. I don't talk about controversial things. And so my ad rates are fairly high in terms of how much I get paid per view. But for example, if you have a creator maybe doing reactionary content that is covering current events and can be seen as very controversial, they might not get paid a lot. And it also depends on your demographics. So the demographics of the people that watch my channel are mostly women between the ages of 25 and 55. And as it turns out, that's who has the spending power in homes also. And so advertisers want to target those people. And so when they see that my videos have, or mine or whoever else has those type of demographics, they're like, yeah, we want to put ads in those videos. A lot of people ask, do you have control over the ads that YouTube puts in your videos? No, you don't. So you get paid on a monthly basis according to that. And then any, brand sponsorships that you might take, those are really highly variable in terms of the money that you get paid for them. Typically, it depends on the number of views you can guarantee per video. And then whatever brand, whether it's HelloFresh or Warby Parker, or, whoever's advertising with you, they're going to pay you a flat fee to integrate that product and that kind of advertisement into their video. And then obviously you can also make money with affiliate marketing. So, anytime I'm recommending products, it's typically something I bought myself off of Amazon, for my kitchen, and so I would say that's for me at least, it's a smaller percentage of revenue. I wrote a cookbook a couple of years ago, so that can be another stream of revenue. And then if you want to sell digital products like, recipe books, or created a course last year, there's lots of different ways you can monetize. And I think this is a great conversation, especially like you said, for women to go out there and pursue their passions, because I think so many women are not financially independent. And I think that's really important, because that gives agency and choice in your life. Right. And so many women are just kind of stuck in situations where they might want to do something different, but they can't, because of their financial situation. And if I can make money on YouTube just being a regular schmegular mom, I mean, really anyone can do it. Right. So
I think your story is incredibly inspiring. And I mean, not to give yourself like any you say you're just a regular schmegular mom and you can make money. There's a lot of work behind it. I see the amount of work and the amount of skill that you have acquired throughout your YouTube journey too, which I think is something that people who want to get into it really don't pay attention to. Like, they may look at you creating videos and they're like, oh, I can't create something like Jen does right now, but they don't see like you said, it took you 6 years, right?
Go back to the first videos.
Yeah.
Go back to the first videos of anybody's channel, to have a more realistic expectation of where you start. And I think that that's a really good point, Joanne. Like, we've talked before about like the gap and the gain on the podcast plenty. And I think that's what intimidates a lot of us. I know it intimidates the crap out of me. You have to talk me off a ledge on a regular basis on things here at No Guilt Mom, where I'm like, but I can't do it like you do it. And you're like, I've been doing this free for 11 years. I hopped on here 4 years ago, and I'm like, why can't I do it as good as you? Well, yeah.
Something else that I know that moms are concerned about is the amount of time involved. And I think that we sometimes get an unrealistic expectation of how much time something should take us. And like, we might be down on ourselves a lot if it takes us longer than we think it should. And I want to get into the time discussion right after this. So something when moms are pursuing, we call it unicorn time here, based on Eve Rodsky's Fair Play, how she talks about unicorn space. In our balance program, we encourage moms to have unicorn time, that personal passion. But time is always an issue, especially like if you have trouble with time management in general. You might see, okay, I'm going to put aside an hour to do a YouTube video. And then I see moms, and you're shaking your head at me, Jen. I see moms.
That's so. Oh wait, here you go. Oh, bless your heart.
Bless your heart.
That's so sweet.
But people will say, oh, it's like an hour, and then they'll be like, I couldn't get it done. I'm such a poor time manager. Tell us the reality behind the time and that it takes to create a video.
Yeah. So, I'll just speak for myself, because a lot of people have different processes. And I will say I've worked with an editor on and off over the years. I will say when I do work with someone who helps me edit my videos, I can be a lot more prolific. I'm not right now, because earlier this year, I kind of took a mental health break, and I'm just now kind of getting back into the swing of things. But in terms of, okay, if you go to YouTube and you see a video on my channel that's, say, 20 minutes long, I would say probably at least, 8 to 12 hours of work probably went into that video, depending on how complex it is. So for example, if I'm doing a budget video, I really enjoy doing those. Okay, how many meals can I make with $50 worth of groceries or something like that? There's an insane amount of planning that goes into it. I have to shop for the groceries. I have to, prep all the ingredients, film the content, do the voiceovers, film the sponsored integration if there's one of those, film the intro, film the outro, get the B-roll, and then edit it all together. So it's definitely not as easy, quote, easy as it seems. Obviously, the finished product, hopefully looks polished and put together, and it was very easy to do. That's what the viewer wants to see. But yeah, there's a lot of work that goes into it, which is all fine and good and fun work. But I do think, like you said, you don't really know how long something's going to take until you do it. And I think as humans, we're very bad at estimating how long things will take. I even do that at work. I think of I can get this project done this week or whatever. And then 3 weeks later, I'm I don't know what I was, I don't know.
You give yourself 30 minutes to get something done on your schedule, and you're like, yeah, no problem. And then if you're lucky, you have the time blindness so that it's 3 hours later and you're like, okay, it's been 30. Holy crap. Yeah. Otherwise, like if you don't have the time blindness, it's 30 minutes and you're like, I'm not even a quarter of the way through. Oh God.
But I think like anything, you know, excellence and success takes hard work. And it's sort of like that, you know, iceberg meme that you see. Yeah. It's like everyone sees the success at the top of the iceberg, but they don't see all of the blood, sweat, and tears that kind of went into it. And for me, now I'm just really motivated by not just, you know, serving other women and other moms on YouTube. I really try to be helpful and positive and make videos that people can really take and use in their lives. But just from the financial aspect, you know, I'm able to take the extra money that I'm making on YouTube and fully fund my kids' college accounts. You know, our family can take trips every year. When I go on a trip with my husband, I'm flying first class, like those type. I'm not to say that I'm like bougie or anything like that, but it's like, you know,
first class is great. It's great. Okay.
Like, yeah, like, yeah. No, I just say this is the kind of stuff that, like, if you really want it to work and you really want to have like extra money and financial freedom for your family, it takes work. It takes time. It's just like anything else.
Yeah. Like okay, so I love that. I have to note 8 to 12 hours to do a 20-minute video. Like, I just want everyone to hear that. Like, that's pretty realistic. But like when you say like you get to fly first class, like I think that's one of those pleasures that like moms, we deny ourselves of because we're like, oh, we don't need that. Oh, that's like really bougie. Like that's horrible. See, first class is lovely. I recently flew first class. I've never done it before. My son is very into airplanes. Like he watches all the airplane YouTube videos. We watch all the travel stuff. We love like all the lounge stuff and watching all that first class stuff. We'd never done it. And so we were going to a business mastermind thing where I could take my family in Cancun, and we were watching the American Airlines app. And all of a sudden it was like upgrade to first class for like $150. We're like, and so like we took it because we'd never done it before. And the seat is like sitting in a lounge chair. You have so much room around.
I was going to say, can I just say being able to stretch my legs out on a plane sounds amazing.
Stretch your legs out. But here's the thing that I need a lot of water. Like we're in the desert. I need a lot of water.
They give you water?
And on airplanes, so they don't like, you know, when you're in coach, you get like the little bottle of water when they come down with
that comes in the little cup.
First class, she was by every 20 minutes. Oh, you need some more water? I walked off that plane so hydrated. It was amazing. It was the best.
Little things. It's the little things that we appreciate in life.
Ice cold water. Oh, good.
Yeah, my favorite is when you like board the plane early and they're like, would you like anything to drink? It's like, oh yes, I'll sip some champagne while the people in coach walk by.
I was going to say, can I have mimosas the whole time? I will be sloshed before the plane even takes off.
I have to tell you though, when you're in first class, you totally forget about coach behind you. Like no, I mean it. Like, and I can see why the divide happens, because when you're in coach, you're just looking at first class. You're like, I wonder what first class is doing. Oh, I smell that food coming from first class. In first class, you have no idea there's other people behind you at all. Like, no idea. And you're like, oh, I see how this like divide happens. And it's a divide on an airplane where you're just privileged to be on an airplane in general.
I know.
Right.
Well, I don't know.
Okay. Does anybody else though, like
those little things?
Okay. So what you guys just said, and I know I'm going off on a little bit of a detour here, people, but does anybody ever see those either videos, pictures, whatever, where they talk about like what airline flying used to be like back in the 50s and 60s? Now, granted, the tickets were not cheap. I 100% get that when they like show the difference in like inflation. But I long for those days. Like, those are huge seats. They have like huge meals, and it's like, oh my
everybody's
God.
Smoking right out in the open.
Like, that's the first thing I thought about. I'm like, but you have all that cigarette smoke in the cabin. Like, it wouldn't be good.
But back then, I feel like almost everybody was. Like, I used to fly a lot when I was younger because, again, we moved from Maryland to Missouri. We'd go back and visit our family a lot. And so like I want to say like my first flight I remember was like 1984, 85. I flew on Braniff and TWA, like the ones that are like gone. I Yeah, there was no level of that stuff back then. We were still crammed in like sardines back then. Even as a 5-year-old, I remember being crammed in. So
that's funny.
Whatever.
It's just, yeah. It's
off
fun.
on the detour. We're back to the main road.
Jen, what are you excited about that's coming up for you?
That's always a good question. I think just continuing to grow my channel, and my kids are growing up now. You know, I'm teaching my daughter to drive, which is always
Me too. You guys have kids that are the same age. So you guys are on the exact same path right now.
I have a 15-year-old girl, Jen, and an 11-year-old boy.
Yeah. So yeah, we actually have the same exact age of kids. I mean, I really enjoy having older kids. I did not do well. I did not thrive. I was not liking it with like the baby toddler stage. And so I don't know. I love having older kids. And so, yeah, you know, we try to go on at least one family vacation every year. So not sure where we'll go next year. We did go to Colorado last year. We love going there. My husband and I are actually going to go to St. Louis for a concert. We try to take one trip every year for our anniversary as well.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
just watching my kids, Sturgill Simpson.
Oh, I don't know that one.
It's my husband's thing. So I'm kind of just along for the ride, but yeah, you know, just continuing to try and grow my channel and my business online. I'm working on a meal planning membership, which will hopefully be available soon. So I'll be talking about that on my channel. And yeah, that's what I'm excited for right now.
Awesome.
Well, we will have links to your channel in the show notes. Go and check Jen out. She has so much information on meal planning, including like the video I was looking at where you were like calling someone like their 1 hour meal prep.
Yes.
Was, like, such a fraud.
I saw that. I love that because like we get sucked into so much these days. And you're like, yeah, I can totally do that. Then they get you to like go in and do all the things. And then you're like, okay, this was a total lie. This is like way more complicated than it seemed.
Yeah. Yeah. It took 4 hours. The 1 hour meal prep took 4 hours, but you know, hey.
I love it. I love
it. It's lies. Well, thank you so much, Jen, for coming on, and we'll talk